Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're watching or listening. My name is Caleb Glick. I'm a lawyer here in the great state of Texas with the Calhoun School of Law to bring you a lot of information that plenty of bad folks would rather you not have. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll provide another installation to our series on Mr. Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince, going on to Chapter 5. So if you haven't gone back and watched 1 through 4, I highly encourage you to do so, because while this document doesn't play directly into the founding generation's understanding, principles, fundamentals, things like that, the tactics and strategies that he outlines in The Prince are frequently used up to today by tyrants and authoritarians to overthrow and subjugate their citizens. And frankly, just knowing that these tactics and strategies exist is almost enough to prevent them from being used against you and against your fellow citizens to turn you slave from free. So let's go ahead and jump on over to The Prince. Like I said, we're going on to Chapter 5, which is titled How to Govern Cities and States That Were Previously Self-Governing. So this one's going to be especially pertinent. He says, when the states you invade have been accustomed to governing themselves without a monarch and living in freedom under their own laws, then there are 3 ways of holding on to them. First is to reduce them to rubble. The second is to go and live there yourself. The third is to let them go on living under their own laws, make them pay you a tax, and install a government of just a few local people to keep the state as a whole friendly. The third one sounds oddly familiar. Since this government has been set up by the invading ruler, its members know they can't survive without his support and will do everything they can to defend his authority. Once you've decided not to destroy it, the best way to hold a previously self-governing city is with the help of its own citizens. Let's take our examples from Sparta and Rome. The Spartans held Athens and Thebes by setting up governments run by a few local people, but in the end they lost these towns. The Romans razed Capua, Carthage, and Numantia to the ground, and that way held on to them. They tried to hold Greece in much the same way the Spartans had, granting it self-government and leaving it its own laws. But it didn't work, and eventually they were forced to destroy quite a number of cities so as to keep hold of the region as a whole. The truth is that the only sure way to hold such places is to destroy them. If you conquer a city accustomed to self-government and ought not to destroy it, you can expect it to destroy you. Rebelling, its people will always rally to this cry of freedom and the inspiration of their old institutions. It doesn't matter how long they've been occupied or how benevolent the occupation, these things will never be forgotten. Whatever you do, whatever measures you take, if the population hasn't been routed and dispersed so that its freedoms and traditions are quite forgotten, they will rise up to fight for those principles at the first opportunity, just as the Pisans did after 100 years of Florentine dominion. But when a people has been accustomed to living under a ruler and the ruler's family has been eliminated, then, since they're used to obeying, but now have no one to follow, they won't be able to choose a new leader from among themselves, nor to live in freedom without one. So they'll be slower to rebel, and an invader can win them over and gain their loyalty more easily. Republics, on the other hand, have more life in them, more hatred, and a greater thirst for revenge. Their memory of old freedoms lingers on and won't let them rest. In these cases, your only options are to reduce the place to rubble or go and live there yourself. So a very short chapter, but quite the important one. If you have any questions about what was said in that chapter, any questions about what was said in the preceding chapters, or maybe there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future lecture, go ahead and post those down in the comments, because the entire purpose of the Calhoun School of Law is to equip you with the necessary skills and information, gotta untie my tongue, and information such as this to combat any sort of lawfare that will be waged against you, your loved ones, or your hard-earned property. So please, if you have any questions at all, go ahead and post them down in the comments. Excellent. So until I see y'all in the next lecture, the next topic, I bid you all farewell.